is Max Access, where Mackenzie Barwell takes you closer to members of Forge FC off the pitch on the Forge Audio Network.
Forge fans, welcome back to the Forge Audio Network. I am your digital host, Mackenzie Barwell, and I am very, very happy to be back. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know we had a little bit of a hiatus over the holidays, but now you can expect an episode a week leading up to Forge FC's CONCACAF matchup on February 7th. So, a lot to talk about in between now and then, but I also have to shout out Oliver Platt and Louis Butko for hopping on the audio network just a few weeks ago. They did a really great job of breaking down just exactly what this tournament is and the significance of it, as well as what Forge's opponent will bring to the table. So I highly recommend you watch that. It'll give you some great context. And of course, you also get to watch Louis relive his Forge FC days. So that was great overall. In other news, though, of course, there have been some updates around the league and with Forge specifically. So we will absolutely get into that in terms of any changes to the roster as well as scheduling. So rest assured, we will touch on all bases, not only in today's interview with special guest Garven Metusala, but also in the upcoming episodes. So let's get right into it because we've got a lot to talk about. Thanks for coming back on Max Access.
Thanks to you for the invite. Always a pleasure.
Me too. I feel like we haven't done this in a while. We got to go over your break really quick. I know you were at home and it was your birthday. So What did you do? Give us the Coles notes really quick.
So I had an injury in off season, so I had to get this fixed, and then I was just trained a lot. I actually went to Congo to see my family. Me and my family went to see my grandma on my dad's side. So I met all my families from my dad's side. It was really nice, and now I'm back. I am back with Forge.
You're back. Exactly. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that it was fun. You got to spend some time with family, which is also really nice. Tell the people where you're at right now. Where are you coming from? Give us the rundown. I feel like you're going to do the best job at explaining.
Yep, so it's been 2 days now. We're in Mexico in Querétaro for 2 weeks basically. So we're having like a little camp here. We just played our first friendly today. So yeah, it's like a private facility like just for soccer basically. There's like good housing, and then the field is do you want to see? Should I show it?
Should we do a tour?
Let's go.
Can you just do like a quick the people
Quick
need
tour.
to see.
So we're in the room. This is the room. And if I turn around, wait, there's a lot of sun.
Hold on.
The field is right there. So the field
your
is
balcony?
The balcony is literally on the field, in front of the field. So here, there's like the gym. There, that's where we eat. And if you guys can see there's another pitch. So yeah, it's really, really nice. So we basically spend our days here. We do gym, we do...
Yeah, I was just going to say, I saw there's a pool as well. This is looking like a real hotel, almost like a resort.
The pool is right, it's far, it's right like there.
This is unreal. You've got like the Forge FC playground, just...
Yep, and it's just for us,
so
that's nice. Yep, just for us, for 2 weeks.
It'll do.
Oh, that's perfect. It's actually perfect.
How many pitches are there? Is it like surround like 360 fields?
There's
how many?
Because there's like a beach soccer field. There's a tennis court. There's a 9v9 soccer field as well, or no, not even let's say 7v7. So there's like 2 11-a-side pitches. There's one tennis court, one 7-a-side pitch, and one beach soccer pitch.
Okay, yep. Garv. Chill.
But nothing beats that field though.
Let's not underestimate what Tim Hortons Field has to offer, okay?
It's high up there.
Yeah, now that we've gotten into that, you just answered my most important question. Honestly, I was going to prioritize the accommodation there, but one of the things I wanted to bring up was a topic of conversation that came up a lot between Bobby and I. And that was the situation that you guys were in last season, having not played in CONCACAF with the restructuring of the tournament. And Bobby, quite often returned to that and mentioned it does make a big difference not having that experience on a multitude of levels. And even Oliver Platt, who came on the audio network a couple weeks ago, said that, the competition stirs up some competitive juices. So From your experience, because I know I've gotten some different responses from different players, but what exactly do you think is so advantageous about having, this before your regular
hmm
CPL season
It
starts?
just gets you ready, like you, especially when you bring new players in. It's since we started like basically a month and a half before everyone, we just get to know each other more before, set up the new tactics, just get on the same page earlier. So that's just more time for us to work on new stuff. And playing Champions League is you're facing good teams, like so you get your, let's say, your level up, and that just gives confidence as well, especially if you can manage to get a result that brings your confidence up and just gets you ready for the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you talk about getting your confidence up because we know, how competitive
hmm
and, established these teams are coming from leagues like Liga MX and the MLS. Um, and
Yep.
the reality is, looking at it objectively, you guys are coming into these games as the underdog. So how much of that is motivation
Yep.
to you, or, is it at all? Because I know a lot of the conversation is around having an opportunity to prove yourself. So
hmm
where does that come into play, or how much so, I guess?
For me, those games are I just see them as any other games. I just try to
Hmm.
play because I don't really feel pressure during games, so I just try to enjoy because it's obviously like a good experience as well. Try playing against Liga MX Chivas is a big thing. Like 2 years ago when we played Cruz Azul, we were just trying to enjoy as much as possible because it's not every day you get to play at the Azteca in front of 40,000 Mexican fans and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think we don't really we know that we're made to be the underdogs, but we know that we can get a result like there. We all have quality. There's good players in this locker room, and we've all known each other for a while. So like we all know that we can get a result, win the game, and get through to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting hearing you say that, and I think you're completely right in that maybe the focus or, yeah, priority doesn't necessarily have to
Mhm.
be being the underdog, but more so
Mhm.
enjoying and like being grateful for that opportunity and just kind of seizing the moment.
100%. Because like I said, a lot of players like dreamed about playing those games, you know. So we're lucky to be here, and we just gotta like not take this moment for granted, you know, just like give it our all and try to get that result and get that win to go so we can go to the next round.
Yeah. Do you have, almost an impulse to, when you're in situations like this, being at this, place that you're at now, do you think about when you were a kid, seeing you now and
hmm
playing at this level and in that environment?
100%. Especially the first time we went to Mexico, like so 2 years ago, I was like, that's actually crazy because 2 years ago I didn't have any contract. Even I'd say a year and a half before that, I didn't have any contract. I was playing in university. There was COVID, all this stuff. And then it's boom, you're playing at the Azteca in front of 40,000 people, and
Yeah.
like we've had a good like good 2 games there, no, at home and away. So it was just sometimes you reflect and it's just how crazy life goes, you know?
I honestly think about your story very often
hmm
because, you've talked about it before, but having so much uncertainty during your college years
Yep.
and then eventually getting the call and, being able to play with Forge and yeah, I think you in particular, it's a
hmm
huge jump and it's something you probably wouldn't have been able to predict at that point
100%.
in your life.
100%. I would never think about that this would ever
Yeah.
happen to me.
So February 7th,
hmm
you'll be here in the cold. I know. Sorry, like the news. Without, giving too much away, how is Bobby and how is the coaching staff preparing you guys for a game like this? Because we know what this team can bring to the table.
hmm
Having such an established, organization, but also such a big fan base. I think that also
hmm
comes into play when a few days later you go to play with them. But yeah, they're a competitive team. So what's the mindset and how are the coaching staff preparing you guys?
So with Bobby, it's always the same thing. We try to impose our playing style to the other teams. We don't try to necessarily adapt to other teams, you know. So it's
Don't reinvent the wheel. Sorry, that's
exactly
just in
exactly
the back of
exactly. So it's I would say it's like he's preparing another game. Obviously, there's more pressure. It's a game at a bigger stage, but the way he's preparing is not different than he's ever done in the past. So it's
yeah.
just trying to, yeah, it's just we're gonna try to play the way Forge plays. We're not gonna try to change our style of play for another team. So.
And how is, the morale, the attitude, the mindset coming off of your fourth championship? Because it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess, going into this competition with a fourth championship under your belt.
Everyone's happy. So everyone's happy to be back, especially that now we're in the sun. So everyone's happy. So we're lucky to be in Mexico right now in the heat, good facilities around us, so good people
Yeah.
around. So everyone's just happy. The vibes are really positive. We know it's going to be an intense 2 weeks of training, but everyone's ready and up for the challenge.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
hmm
Another thing that I wanted to ask you about, and honestly, I hadn't planned until I was just like writing some things down to talk to you about. And as I was planning my questions, different things came up in the media, for example, like new transfers, roster updates, and whatnot. So is it difficult, or how do you, keep your eye on the prize or stay focused when there's a little bit of background noise, not
hmm
only around the league, but with your team in particular?
Me as a player, I really don't try to like think about it. Like obviously
Yeah.
sometimes you think about it like oh we lost this player, but at the end of the day like I we're gonna add players or we're gonna lose players every year. So it's at the end of the day we just gotta stay focused and on us. Like if I can, I just gotta focus on my way of playing, not think about what's around. So this is all like you said, like it's background noise. So I shouldn't let this
Mm-hmm.
affect me or affect my game. Should just focus on because that's not my job. I'm not the one who's gonna bring the players in. So I know there's
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
are working on this as well. So my job is just to focus on the pitch and that's it.
It is a natural process, like you
Mhm.
said. There is turnover from season to season. I think
Yep.
it's just it's a different perspective coming, from a media standpoint, but also
Mhm.
like a fan perspective, because
100%.
there's a different, attachment or relationship. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
with the fans, and honestly, coming from my perspective as well, you develop these relationships, and then people inevitably move on. That happens,
Mhm.
and then it's almost like a shock. But as a
Yep.
teammate, it's kind of like, that was bound to happen. We got our time together, and then you move on. So
Mhm.
is it? Yeah, I guess in that regard, is it, anticipated and just
Yeah,
accepted?
yeah. It's anticipated because usually between players we talk to each other. So usually you kind of know like if a player is gonna come back or if a player is not gonna come back. So it's not really a surprise as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on from CONCACAF, of course, today home opener dates came out. We got the 2023 championship final rematch happening April 13th. Crazy that we're opening the season that way, but
Wait, so we're playing
yes,
Cavalry again?
cavalry. Yeah, surprise.
How many years is that? Is that 3 years in a row?
Yeah, it's another one, right? So,
Yeah, start with the best game always, the best rivalry. So excited. Yeah, those games are. I don't even need to explain. Like there's always so intense.
yeah,
Like the teams don't like each other, the players don't like each other, and first game that's the best way to kick off the season.
totally, totally. Get the competitive juices flowing, as we said earlier.
So what date you say for April what? I forgot about the date. I just
Check
know
your
April, but I forgot the
schedule.
date.
April 13th.
13th?
Yeah.
13th. Thank you, David. He answered my question as
Got
well.
you. I got you. At Forge FC on Instagram. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you
A
for
pleasure.
the tour.
Oh, always a pleasure, and I'll be back soon.
Okay, sounds good, Garv. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. No problem.
All right, a big thank you to Garv once again for joining us from the soccer hotel in Mexico. I'd be lying if I said I didn't end that call slightly jealous, but that's okay. I appreciate everything this weather has to offer as well, and I'm sure as do you all. Um, Before we wrap up, a few other things, of course, that I have to touch upon. If you are following the Forge FC social media, you would have seen some updates that occurred yesterday. First, triggering the options of Seba Costello, Malcolm Duncan, and Chris Kalongo, so they will be confirmed for the 2024 roster. In case there was any confusion around the option language, because hand up, I did have to fact check myself before I talked about this. Charlie O'Connor Clark, who I got in touch with, did a really good job at explaining it. And for anyone who doesn't know, if a player, for example, has a 2-year contract plus an option, the club can trigger that option, extending their contract automatically by a year. If not, they choose to decline it and they become a free agent. So just to put that out there in terms of context for anything that may happen in the upcoming days. Some of you may be thinking, Mackenzie, we already know that. Others may be appreciative. So, I just thought I would throw that out there. But of course, now 3 other players left with unconfirmed status. We've got Kayvon Tavernier, Abu Sissoko, and Alex Ashinyodi Janssen. So stay tuned. We will keep you up to speed on everything there. And lastly, as I'm sure you know, we've had 3 players who have confirmed their departure from the club, including Rubens Pasillas, Mandrakar James, and as of yesterday, Rezart Rama. So that we will get into that. I think that conversation deserves an episode of its own, so you can expect that in the coming weeks. But I'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back same time next week.
Thanks for listening to Max Access on the Forge Audio Network. If you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share.
And you know what I was saying earlier too is that, obviously you're going to have this game and it's going to be hot, it's going to be warm, but for them to have the, authentic Canadian experience, I wouldn't mind if the snow was still on the ground. Maybe like a light flurries, you know what I mean?
I don't know about that, but I'd rather not see some snow on the pitch. But if there's snow,
not for you guys, but
yeah.
I just want them to have the experience, like I don't want them to come and it's just gray and like, you know what I mean?
But I think they'll see a lot of snow like around the pitch, so that's enough for experience as well.